Hello and welcome to this quick video in regard to the code plug I produced for the AnyTone D878UV Plus radio. It might also work for the 868, but I haven't been able to test it on such a radio. A disclaimer, if you download or get your hands on this code plug and you use it, I am not responsible at all for anything that might go wrong. So if it breaks your radio, if you overwrite your current code plug, if it's not functioning properly, that's all on your own responsibility, not mine. Right. So when that boring thing is over, then let's go on to the code plug itself. Right. So when you when you are to use or upload my code plug, you need to have the proper software installed on your PC, as well as having your radio connected to your PC via USB. So if you do need help doing that, please Google it. There will be plenty of videos and tutorials out there addressing that topic. All right, so when you open the program, you will have a new project, if you like, a new code plug, which is blank. So if you downloaded mine, you will open it and load it into the application. Please note, if you have done any changes to your radio and you don't want to overwrite those changes or that configuration, please make sure that you download your current code plug before you load mine. You do that by hitting this button here, which says read from the radio. Come on, little tooltip. All right. You click that and your current configuration. Oh, that's the, and that question is asking for the code plug, which is already by default when loading the program. It's not your code plug or anything. Don't worry. So yeah, we would like to read it from it. And if you are on digital mode, for example DMR, and you have a digital contact list, make sure you tick this box as well and download that as well. So everything is stored onto your hard drive. I will do that quickly, but the code plug itself is under the other checkbox that was ticked. Right, so you can see now I downloaded my code plug, and this is actually the code plug you can download as well from my Google Drive or wherever I put it. I might put it somewhere else. Change over time, who knows? Anyway, so save this code plug as save as, and you save it as your old and backup and whatever. So make sure that you keep that safe, because you will overwrite anything in the radio if you follow my instructions onwards. Right, so just to clear everything, you might want to push save there. I'm not going to do that because I haven't really done anything to this code plug, but you want to save your code plug before you go on. Right, then anyway, so open my code plug, which you have downloaded to your hard drive somewhere. And as you've done that, now this application is set up as I designed it to be as simple and easy as possible, targeting paragliding and paramotoring pilots. And that means there's no digital use, there's only analog setup. There is, in this default code plug, there is only one frequency and one channel set up, because there is only one legal frequency in Sweden that you're allowed to use, unless you have any other type of license, like you're a ham radio operator or whatever, then you can use other frequencies as well. But this is the frequency set aside for paramotoring and paragliding communication. So if you use this, or if you update it or add new frequencies, that's completely up to you. Please make sure that you are staying on the legal side. because you might be transmitting on frequencies which could cause trouble for other people or services in the society. So please be careful. Right? So, in general, a code plug is the basic settings for almost all settings for your radio. So I'm not going to cover everything I've done in this code plug, because it will be a very much too long radio, and I actually created a code plug to make it easy and simple for you guys, so you don't need to know everything about it. But anyway, what I've done is I've turned everything off that is not really important or that we don't have any use for while paragliding. And I kept on, and I tried to simplify everything as much as possible so that we can focus on being safe in the air instead, and focus on flying, of course. Anyway, so this radio has really three requirements for, three. I can't really bend my pinky too much. Three requirements. That's channels, zones, and scan lists. Scan lists are optional, but I like to keep at least one. I'll explain that along the road. If we go onto the channel on the public section on the left panel in the application, we will see that I have provided one channel with one frequency. If one wants to add another frequency, let's double click on an empty row, and one will get the dialog to do that, to add a new channel. So let's do test 1, for example. Let's do 137.1 and 137.1. As this radio is very competent, there is a lot of settings here which you do not have to care about. So just set your receive and transmit frequency, the naming, as well as do not forget to change the channel type to analog, and you can pretty much leave it to that. But there is one remark I like to talk about, and that's in regard to transmit power. These radios, I might be not 100% correct here, but I think it's about 7 watt is the output effect on the turbo mode. You can see we have turbo, high, mid, low. And I think high is about 5-ish watts. But I might be wrong here, but it doesn't really matter. So what I like to keep this on high. I never use turbo really. 2 more watts doesn't do much of a difference really when transmitting. And I can explain it in another video if anyone likes to, but right. Being on the ground, having a lot of obstacles available in the way in between, 1 to n stations, that is causing the distance which these radio waves the radio produces can travel. So I like to keep it high because when I'm on the ground, I like to be able to, by default, that's where I normally turn on my radio, of course, and then I want it default to go on to high, onto that channel, because I might need that power to be able to talk to people which might be in the air or around different obstacles on the ground. But as soon as I get in the air and I get to a safe altitude, I normally lower my output power, and that's because it will save battery life for once. But the most important reason is that your radio waves will travel very, very far, having it on high settings or turbo, and you don't need that. We're talking about distances of about 100 or 200-300 kilometers, but whilst in the air, and it depends on what altitude you are. Those radio waves will just go on forever. So to minimize that, as well as Sweden only has one official frequency for this, so it's good practice to keep the lowest output power that you can manage, and still have a good communication link with your mates. So that's a good. So in this code plug, I have made the power button, or the button which you're circling through all different power modes, quite easily quite easy accessed. So I will circle back to that in a while. All right, so keep that as it is and hit OK. So now we added a new channel, which is called test 1. It's on the frequency 137.1 and so on. For us to be able to access that on the radio, we need to add it to a zone. What a zone is and it has to have a zone when you program your radio. And that is pretty much a grouping, a list of channels which you can select by using this middle knob here. If it's, for example, if we were to upload the code plug as it is now, when we just created the channel, and we would not be able to find that channel because we would have I only have one zone created in this code plug, and that will be it will not be automatically added to that. But that's not how it works. So it's very important to remember to add it to the zone as well. You might have 1 to n zones, but you need to select that zone in the radio. With this code plug, there's only one zone, and it's automatically selected when you turn on the radio. So to add it, you double click on that zone, and you will find your new channel in available channels column, and you will move it over to zone members. Don't worry about the A and B channel. This radio has much more capabilities than we need, and we're going to stay with only using the A channel. I have left one key to be able to circle in between these two if needed, but normally we will only need one channel whilst flying. Anyway, then it's not required, but it is quite good practice as well to keep a scan list. And the scan list is pretty much the same as a zone, but it's a list of, when you set the radio into scanning mode, it will iterate through that list over and over and over. And so if it doesn't iterate over the zone, it iterates over scan lists, and you just need to remember that. So just add that channel to the member list as well, and hit OK, and you're done. So now we have 2 channels, and they will be available in the same zone as well on the same scanning list. Okay, I think that's really it when it comes to channels. Let's talk a bit about the hotkeys. So you go to the optional settings, there will be a dialog popping up, and we navigate to the key function. These are all the programmable keys assessments that you can do on the radio. So what I've done, I kept the key log to manual. All these numbers, have a look online what they map to on the physical buttons. I can tell you, but it will just make this video even longer. So I'll point out the ones we need, and I will skip the rest. So the PF1 is something, a short click. Remember, there is short and long clicks as well on buttons. On short click, we left it off. We don't need it. It's just, it's not required for what we need to do. I kept for fun just the PF2 to show the voltage on the screen. There is already a battery indicator on the screen as well, but if you want to know the exact voltage, you can hit that button. Well, you might not need it. Yeah. The PF3 key will toggle the memory mode, which is the channels that we have created in the channel listing. Those are memory accessible through the memory mode. The other mode is VFO. It's the mode when you enter the frequency that you wish to operate on manually directly into the radio. So it could be actually quite good to be able to easily toggle in between these two modes, because if you are guest flying somewhere and you need to use a temporary frequency, you just hit that button and you dial it in and you're ready to go. Very, very convenient. So I'll point it out in a minute as well. The P1 has the main channel switching. That's switching in between A and B. And as I told you earlier, we only use A, so we shouldn't really need this one. But I kept it unless, if you find a usage for it, to use it. The P2, important one. Probably the one I use most of the time. And that's the power switch. It's a cycling button. And I also have the PF1 long press. Remember, this is for pressing on, and that's triggering the scanning mode. So the radio starts scanning on, and it's the preset. And this code plug is preset to use the first scan, the scanning list, the PPG scanning list. You could select that on the radio as well if you have many different lists. But you trigger the scanning on the active list by using the PF1 with a long press. And that's because you don't want to accidentally trigger that. Okay, good. So let's have a quick look at these buttons then. The most important one, if the PF3, that's the blue button here, that one is the one circling in between memory mode and manual entering frequency mode, or VFO mode. That's what it's called, but manually entering frequency mode is more describing in my opinion. So that's the one you just hit, and if you're in channel mode, you will see your channel name and your zone name. In my code plug, the channel name will be in green and the zone will be in red on this line. All right, so then we have on the side PF1, and that's for the short press, not this, it is disabled. But this is the scan. If you long press this one, you will trigger the scanning functionality on the active scanning list. The PF2 is this one. If you push this with a short press, you will get a voltage description, pop up showing the voltage on screen. Well, P1 is if you need to switch in between channel A and channel B, which we are not using in this code plug really, but you could do that by P1 using it, short pressing it. But you should stay on channel 1. That's where we will operate, or mode 1, whatever. P2, the most important button here is, or almost the most important one, is the locking key. I will get back to that. But this is the P2 is you'll hit that and it will be cycling through the different power modes. So try to stay as low as possible. Turbo is never good. Trust me, you don't need that. Right. Activating the key lock, which is I think is very important, is by just holding down the star key. It will activate the key lock, and then you can unlock it by a menu, I think, and then key star or whatever. As soon as you push a button, it will tell you on screen how to unlock it. Right. So the central knob is the channel shifter within the zone which is active. In this code plug, we only have one zone, the PPG zone. By default, there will be only one channel, so that won't do anything. But if you add any more channels like we've done now, you can cycle in between those, just turning this knob on. That knob is active even if the key lock is locked. So PTT and that knob is the only ones that is operational on the radio as the key lock is activated. Right, I think that's pretty much it when it comes to buttons and the configuration. There is a lot of other things I've turned off and I tweaked, but I'm not going to go into that at all. So when you are done and you are happy with your code plug, which started off with my code plug, or if you just took it as it was and you didn't want to do any changes, that's fine. The code plug should work out of the box on the Swedish frequency. Remember that. If you are not flying in Sweden, you need to alter it, most likely. Right, so when we are done, we should save it. That's always a good practice to save it. So just hit that button and save it. That file is now up to date with our current settings, and now is our new code plug. So to be able to upload this to the radio, you just hit this button, and we want to continue. As I told you earlier, don't have this ticked unless you are using this radio for digital communication, like DMR, for example. Otherwise, keep it unticked. Or if you are using the digital, only have this ticked when you have updated your contact list, unless you have too much time on your hands and you want to waste some, because it will take forever. No, not forever, but it will take quite a bit longer to do the upload and download if you have this ticked. Anyway, any other data is the rest of the code plug, so you will be covered having that ticked. And then we'll see, it will be quite quick. So what will happen now is the radio will reboot, and congratulations, you have now a freshly programmed AnyTone D878UV Plus ready to go fly. Just select if you added any frequency, select the correct channel and you're good to go. Good. I think that's it actually. Yeah, one note, if you want to delete a channel, for example, you just right click on that row in the channel listing and you use the delete option. It will automatically disappear from your zone and your scan list, so you don't have to do anything. But don't forget to save it and upload it. Good practice is also to, as soon as you do any, as soon as you hook up your radio, unless you have downloaded something new or you have worked offline, always pull the code plug off your radio rather than loading from disk, unless something has gone really wrong. It's really good practice because you might do changes in the radio out on the field, and those will be lost unless you pull it down first before you start editing it with this tool. Okay, guys, I hope that's going to be enough for you to get going with my code plug. Other code plugs might be different. There is a really open-ended opportunities with this radio. It is phenomenal. It's really, really wicked, and there is a lot of tutorials out there. Have a look at them. Learn. If you have any questions to me, put them in the comments or get in touch with me somehow. In other way, I'm active in many different forums. Okay, take care and fly safe and have fun.